Good afternoon, warriors. Today's lesson is going to be on area of triangles. And we're going to start by setting up your 2-column notes. You need to start with 2 columns, the title being area of triangles. And your standard is going to be the same as area of rectangles. We are working on 6.ee.a.2.c because what we want to do is learn some formulas in order for you to show that you know formulas used in real world problems. And I cannot draw a straight line. Someday I will learn. This tool right here seems to be helpful. There we go. So you are going to be solving expressions that arise in formulas used in real-world problems. So real-world problems are going to deal with our formulas like area of a rectangle, and then today when we talk about area of triangles. So make sure you've written the standard down in your notes so you can stay clear on what we're studying today. And we'll get to the other part of the standard as we continue working in the next few days here. But until then, we are focusing on expressions using formulas. Yesterday we worked on area of a rectangle, the formula being area equals length times width. And today we're moving to area of triangles, which is 12-3 in Pearson. How can you use the formula for the area of a parallelogram to find the area of a triangle? Now, we've skipped the area of a parallelogram lesson because what we're going to do is kind of work backwards here. One thing you do need to know, however, is what a parallelogram is. And it's right here, this shape that you're looking at in the yellow. And you'll see that this parallelogram is actually 2 triangles. And what I want you to see is that if I draw a square, and of course it won't be straight because I'm new to this, but pretending that that's a perfect square is actually 2 triangles too. So to keep it easy, yesterday we learned the formula for a square or a rectangle is going to be length times width. And we can use this same knowledge to help us if we're only trying to find the area of one triangle, knowing that 2 triangles make up a square, or 2 triangles make up a rectangle. Knowing that, all we have to do is find half of the area of a square, or half of the area of a rectangle, and in this case, half of the area of a parallelogram, and we will have, we will have the area of a triangle. So you can see the area of a parallelogram here is described as area equals base times height. So in your notes, on the left-hand side, I want you to write area of a parallelogram. And on the right-hand side, write the formula for area of a parallelogram. The formula is area equals base times height. Remember, if there's no sign here, that means multiplication. Now, when we're talking about a parallelogram, the base takes the place of the length that we were discussing when we were talking about rectangles. So now we're going to have the base, and since a parallelogram is slanted, that's why we're not necessarily talking about the length, but we're talking about what the parallelogram is sitting on. Notice in a parallelogram, the height is not the side here, because the side is slanted, we need a 90-degree angle in order to make this formula work. So in a parallelogram, the height is actually straight up and down. That forms a 90-degree angle with the base, and we use those two measurements to get the area of a parallelogram. Now, how does this relate to triangles? Well, what they want you to see here at the top in your visual learning bridge is the diagonal of a parallelogram also creates two identical triangles. They're exactly the same. Now these two triangles have a base. You can see the base is here, and they both have a height, which is at a 90-degree angle to the base, not the slanted side, the up and down, straight up and down with a 90-degree angle. They want you to see this visual because this should show you how we get the formula for area of a triangle. If the area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height, the area of a triangle is it's simply going to be half that. If I need the area of this triangle, I take half of the area of the parallelogram, and that's going to be my answer. So when I write the formula for area of a triangle, it is area equals 1/2 base times height. I've also seen it written as area of a triangle equals, and remember we're using that big capital A for area, equals base, we use a little lowercase b for base, times height, which is our h. So it would be base times height. And in order to cut that in half, after we find the product of base times height, we divide it by 2. Or we cut it in half. And this line right here means division. If we divide by 2, we are taking half of it, or half base times height. So it's up to you which formula you like best. Please put them both in your 2-column notes. And then we're going to put this into practice. So if you look back at the guided practice, it asks you to use a formula to find the area of each triangle. So for all of the problems you're going to solve today, I want you to start the same way. In your 3-column notes, I want you to write the formula. So as you design your 3-column notes on the back of your 2-column notes, okay, they would look like this roughly again. This might be easier to do on my iPad. But here you will have the formula. Here you will substitute the formula and solve. And over here, you'll give me your answer. Okay, so this is your thinking. I'll put a T there to stand for thinking. And over here is your answer. And as you start with the formula for a triangle, again, it is area equals half base times height. Or area equals base times height divided by 2. Cut it in half. So it's kind of easy to look at number 1 and figure out what the answer should be. But since we're trying to memorize the formula for area of a triangle, you have to have these formulas memorized. I'll start with area equals, and it's going to be hard to fit it all here, but I'm going to write 1/2 base times height. Okay, and I can substitute or plug in. Base here is 4 feet. So over here I would write 1/2 times 4 times 2. So if this is my middle column and if I had room, I would substitute 1/2. And I use parentheses to separate to show me that I am multiplying. 4 times the height, which is 2. And you see that over here. Times 2. Okay, and then I continue to work, but I have to follow my order of operations. So in this case, it's actually going to work if I take 1/2 of 4, or I multiply 4 by 1/2. Because what I'll get when I multiply straight across is 4 over 2, which is 4 divided by 2, and the answer is 2. I can also think of it as half of 4, which is 2, times the 2 I have left over, which means the answer is 4, which, following order of operations, tells me that the area of this triangle is 4 feet squared. Even with triangles, all of our answers are squared. Make sure you have a squared answer to the power of 2. And then I'll write my answer over here in my answer column for Mrs. Karrow to read. Okay, so today, independently, and you can replay this part of the video as much as you need to help you remember how to do it. Independently, you are going to work on the following problems. You are going to complete 6. I don't know why my screen's acting so silly right now. Probably because my battery's about to die. 6 through 12. Okay, so you're going to do all 6 problems, 6 through 12. Make sure you have them in 3-column notes and turn them into the sub. And when you're stuck on something, make sure you ask the sub. Pay attention to number 7. Even though the triangle doesn't have an area, or a height that goes straight up and down at a 90-degree angle, it gave you a height off to the side, and that works as well. So your area is going to be half of the base times the height, and follow order of operations. So you're actually going to end up taking half of the base and multiply it times the height. Okay. And when you get to number 10, they didn't draw the picture out for you, but they're giving you the information that the base is 8 feet and the height is 14 feet. Plug it into your formula and solve. Make sure you email me with any questions that you have, and I look forward to seeing your hard work on Guru as you complete this independent practice.